Welcome to the Tube Chum podcast.
Hello everybody and welcome to the first episode of what will hopefully be many of the Chumcast. I'm here with Dan.
Hello.
And Graham.
Hello there.
And this is the first podcast we're trialing. Trialing. We hope to do more. But so first up, let's go straight into it. News this week. What's been going down? Inform me.
Dan was talking about some copyright to me earlier, weren't you, Dan? What was that about?
Yeah, well, it's been quite a big story, really. It's mainly affecting sort of gameplay videos.
Mm-hmm.
All the copyright stuff. It's been going on for about 6 months now, really, but now it's properly been put into force.
A huge proportion of like the YouTube gamers, because this is mainly affecting gameplay videos, isn't it?
Mm.
If like a huge proportion of them went, like let's say like the Yogscast and their entire network, and then all these sort of American networks like the Polaris stuff, all the Game Station and people or whatever they're called now.
Yeah.
If they all left in one big go and went somewhere else, what would that do anything to YouTube? Would the audience go with them, or would they just sort of go, oh? Like,
well, the thing is, I don't think it's going to affect the bigger YouTubes quite as much because of the way they're managed.
I don't know the legal ins and outs, but I think that people with channels under networks are like better protected against stuff like this because the network usually handles that stuff.
But a lot of publishers have come out in support of it, haven't they? Like I was looking at something earlier that I think Valve in particular. I was looking on this computerandvideogames.com. I'd leave a link somewhere.
Yeah.
If I can remember. Valve defies YouTube copyright goal. And they've updated their video policies to allow people to basically use all of their stuff. You are free to monetize your videos via the YouTube Partner Program and similar programs on other video sharing sites. So everyone's basically a YouTube partner these days. It kind of comes with the account now, doesn't it?
If you boil it down to the basics, it's basically if a company's trying to sell a game, I don't see the harm in, for example, PewDiePie. He on his own has sort of pretty much taken a couple of not great games and made them massively popular purely because he's done a video on them. So people, big channels like that, like you say, I think are going to be safer than
they're going to have absolutely no trouble. But I think some of the sort of people lower down at the moment are not going to be given the chance to get to the stage where PewDiePie is. I mean, I know obviously a lot of people who think, oh, let's do a let's play video aren't necessarily going to get to that stage, but companies aren't going after them, but they're just not as happy to tolerate it because they're not getting anything back from it. Whereas, like you say, PewDiePie puts a video up of Happy Wheels, it gets 2 million views, and suddenly the game's played by everyone, you know?
Yeah.
One of the things I think was a bit harsh is one of the things that can happen if one of your videos does have, like, breaks some of the copyright rules. The company that owns the rights to the game can get the money from your advertising on that video.
I think, again, it's sort of a case of are you with a network or not, because the people with the networks are going to have the most money, aren't they, on their videos?
They're the ones who are going to be sort of making the most off of it. If you're sort of a lowly, I don't know how many subscriber type Let's Player, you're not making enough to
warrant all that.
To warrant a sort of worrying about losing that money, because you shouldn't really be relying on that anyway if you're that low down.
Sure.
Whereas if you're PewDiePie or whatever and it's your main source of income, pretty much, then yeah.
Let's we'll move on from that, but it's interesting stuff. So next up, YouTube Rewind. Now, admittedly, I probably should know more about this than I do, considering, like you guys, I'm writing for Tube Chum. But Graham, you seem to know more about this than me.
Well, I mean, first of all, I've actually watched it, guys. Well done.
So tell us what it is about.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you probably remember last year's one. Last year was the year of Gangnam Style. Like, that completely took over the world. Never mind YouTube. It was pretty much impossible to avoid, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And similarly to last year, the form of this one is the music of YouTube. And I know YouTube is used a lot as a music streaming site, not so much with things like Spotify and other sort of streaming sites, but it's still a huge part of the viewer base.
Right.
And so things like the Fox, Ylvis the Fox, and sort of Rihanna, not Rihanna. Oh man, it's all right. I don't know music these days.
He's a fraud. He hasn't watched.
I have watched it. I'll mix them up. It's that Wrecking Ball thing. That's Miley
Cyrus.
Yeah, but I don't
Shout out
listen
to
to
Miley.
popular music.
Wait, so I haven't seen this either. Do you mean she did something specifically?
No. I don't want to spoil it for people who also haven't seen it and would like to enjoy the surprises for themselves. But a famous YouTuber is Miley in this, and it's all funny and stuff happens. There's loads of appearances from loads of people that you'll recognise from this year, and also big YouTubers from the whole year. I mean, you've got KassemG in there, MysteryGuitarMan.
I was about to say
Slow-mo
KassemG.
guys pop up.
Mm.
There's the beautiful beard of Epic Meal Times Haley.
Wow.
Harley. Oh man, my name's today. My name's today. He's never going to hear this, but of course, if he did, he would come and hurt me for calling him Haley.
Shout out if he's listening. Hello.
Shout out to Harley.
Welcome.
I didn't call you Haley. That didn't happen.
All right then. Oh, and you've done a post on that, haven't you? So if people
I have.
check
Yeah,
that
you can
out,
check that out. We'll pop that in the linkage somewhere wherever this goes.
Yeah. I'm tempted to say the underbar, but will there be an underbar?
Will there be an underbar?
Will
Will it be an
Who knows?
overbar?
Who knows?
Will it be a sidebar?
Ooh.
Will it be a be diagonal? It'd be like Connect 4.
So posts we put up this week. So who wants to start us off with some of the stuff they've written this week?
First, I had an interview with DannysStudio.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if either of you have ever watched any of his stuff.
Not before you wrote the piece.
Yeah, I wouldn't have heard of him before your piece. So there we go. You know, introducing me.
He's quite a different YouTuber. Like
How do you mean?
Go on.
Well, for one thing, most of his videos are shot with like a weird fish lens thing.
Oh,
So
like
it
a
has
fisheye
like a really
camera.
weird-
Shot
like
by
a
a fish.
fisheye.
Shot by fish. He's been killed by a fish.
Breaking news, everyone.
He draws characters that appear in his videos as well.
Mm-hmm.
He's just
He's
it's
an
quite
animator.
interesting.
Is he an
No,
animator?
well, no, he's sort of a sketch person, but his sketches aren't funny. They're funny, but they're weird.
Okay. I thought that was fired for a second.
It's hard to describe. That's why I think
So I think
the interview is quite
what you're
interesting.
saying, right, is that people need to read the interview and watch his videos to really get what he's on about.
I think I've sold it. I think I've sold it.
It's a good thing I was here, isn't it, Tom, to salvage something from that situation.
But it is an interesting interview because if you watch his stuff, you wouldn't be able to get a sense of his personality from the videos.
Mm.
I think it's interesting, like a lot of YouTubers kind of have a character, because I think if you were yourself completely all the time in a video, you'd get all these sort of abuse in the comments and stuff. You wouldn't be able to go on, would you? It's like comedians.
Yeah. All right. What else have you written?
I also was writing about coming out on YouTube.
Were you?
Oh, did you?
After Tom Daley's announcement that he's in a relationship with another man.
Okay.
Because it seems to be becoming a bit of a growing trend for people.
Mm.
Yeah.
Particularly YouTubers.
This is kind of random, but do either of you follow Comedy Shorts Gamer?
Yes, he did one today, didn't he?
He did a sort of spoof coming out video today, and I didn't know the sort of the tastefulness of doing that. I
wasn't too sure about it.
Yeah, I wasn't too sure.
I haven't seen it myself. But like, it just sort of seems like if there's a trend already going on, people are going to jump on it to do sort of parody things like that.
Yeah, but it's kind of a bit different, isn't it, when it's something serious like that?
Mm.
That's the thing. I don't know whether it's right to call it a trend or not.
Mm.
I think.
Well, I mean, you did in an article.
If you read my article,
Take it down.
Take it down now.
If you read the article, you'd see that I said it shouldn't be called a trend.
Oh, okay, right.
Graham hasn't read it yet.
I'm reading it now. 2 seconds.
At least I think I did.
I'm going to check that.
Right, Dan, you check that. Graham, what have you put up onto the old Tube Chum website this week?
This week.
It's
mainly the YouTube Rewind, because I've just been watching a lot of YouTube rather than writing anything, like an absolute slacker. I was thinking about the sort of copyright thing with games. I mean, back to that, like, who is going to be most affected? There are some channels that get a lot of people watching, but obviously aren't making the same kind of money as the really big YouTubers. Are those people going to suffer from it as well? Like, I watched this guy who makes a lot of Dota 2 content called Purge. A lot of it is like tutorial stuff, and obviously he is selling the game through there, so Valve have got no reason to come back at him. But you know, when big YouTube comes a calling, or it's Google really, isn't it? Because Google are the people who own it now.
Yeah. I know this through joining Machinima way back when, but
way back when.
Minecraft is obviously a big sort of let's play subsection of YouTube. And Mojang actually let YouTubers do what they want with the game. If you actually go to the legal section on the Mojang site, it basically says do what you want with the footage because we don't care. And I think that's obviously not going to be the same for every company, but good on them for doing it.
Well, one of the main things anyway has been trailer footage and like in-game music and cutscenes.
Yeah,
well, the thing is,
Minecraft doesn't really have much.
I don't really understand why sort of trailer footage and in-game cutscenes are the ones affected. I mean, under fair use, right, which is a law, look it up, right? For the purposes of review, you can use a certain amount of footage, and I know sometimes probably YouTubers will take it a bit far, but there's no actual like hard and fast rule about how much footage you can use. I mean, as long as you're crediting people.
I'm sort of with you on that, but at the same time, I can see why they would have more of a problem with cutscenes.
And a lot of it isn't really review anyway.
The actual gameplay.
The actual gameplay, yeah, because if you think about it, a cutscene of a game is more like watching a film, because the person that's making the video isn't interacting with it, are they? They're not.
But if you're doing a playthrough, sometimes the cutscenes help add to the video, like to further develop it.
Yeah, I know we keep mentioning PewDiePie.
They can be important.
We keep mentioning PewDiePie, but
you can't not really
be one of these.
Gaming, can you?
He's one of these people that can get away with posting the cutscenes and no more bat an eyelid. But you know,
PewDiePie's untouchable.
I think that's basically what we've learned from this.
If you take anything from this podcast, it's that PewDiePie.
Sponsored by PewDiePie.
That sort of brings us nicely on. That sort of brings us nicely onto one of the posts I did this week, which was my comment piece.
Oh yeah. You were talking about PewDiePie's sort of community, weren't you?
I was talking about the fact that some of his fans have got to the state. Well, it's been sort of an ongoing thing, but basically he explains in the video, which is in the post. I'll put the link wherever.
Wherever that ends up.
But he's been having problems with fans knocking on the door of his house, and this has happened in the past. I remember it happened to him when he was living in Italy. And then he moved, obviously, to Brighton, and it happened then again. And now he's moving again. And, you know, the post was just about... It was sort of saying that that's really not very nice of fans to do that. Particularly, you know, if it's someone they look up to, they should surely respect his privacy, you know?
You think that, but I mean, I think that happens with a lot of YouTubers. I remember the first time the Yogscast moved into their, like, Yog Towers, there was speculation, like, I was interested because I was a big fan of them at the time. Like, I'm probably watched less of their stuff now, but I think it's a generational thing.
Yeah.
But there was huge speculation about where they'd gone, and it was like, why do you care? Like, why do you need to know? Should you not, if you really enjoy their content, should you not just leave them in peace to make this content? They don't like owe you any more of their time than they can give you.
I mean,
they're making you free content.
The same thing happens with celebrities and stuff anyway. Like,
but I think that's the really interesting thing, isn't it? Like, although they are celebrities to a certain sort of audience, they don't get the same kind of celebrity. They don't get a weird kind of celebrity treatment. Like, a lot of celebrities are prepared for what they're going to get into when they become super famous. Like, think of the most super famous person you can think of right now. Go on, like,
Barack Obama.
I don't know.
Yeah, Barack Obama's a good one.
Barack Obama. He's pretty damn famous, isn't he? That's a good place to start.
Yeah.
He's probably quite used to getting a lot of attention, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he's probably quite prepared for it, and he probably got a load of sort of training, you know, before he became a politician, even on how to handle it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Someone like PewDiePie, he just started playing video games and then thought, "Oh, I'll film them. This will be funny."
Yeah.
And now he's got people knocking on his door, going, "Hi, are you PewDiePie?" and trying to bro fist, right?
Oh god.
Do you know what I mean?
This is all conjecture.
Well, I mean, yeah, we don't know if exactly that's happened. I'm taking it to its logical conclusion. Like, it's slightly hyperbole, but at the same time, he's getting a weird amount of attention for a sort of, you know, basically average guy.
But then he is making a lot of money, so swings around.
But do you think then? Sorry, just interesting. Like, I want to ask you: do you think then he not deserves that? That's the wrong word. But do you think
he should be expecting that?
Yeah. Do you think he should have to deal with that when he's making so much money off it? Well, whatever amount of money he's making off it.
I don't think he really minds it though. Like, well, obviously to an extent.
Obviously minds it a bit because he's made a video.
But he obviously appreciates the fans that have made him.
Oh, definitely.
You know, his career.
I don't know. It's a tough one. I don't think anyone like realistically would want the thought of someone just knocking on their door all the time.
Yeah, I think it's a different thing between like bump into him on the street. I think he totally, any person who's famous would be okay to say hi, maybe get a picture or whatever and move on. But I think going to someone's door, I mean, like if enough people found out where we live, would we appreciate them coming and saying, "Did you write that PewDiePie article?" Like,
and in his video, he actually says like, when I meet fans in the streets, I love that. Like, I love that interaction. But I think that's fair enough. If you're out in the public, then fair enough. Also,
I think they do when you're in somewhere that like you expect to meet people. I mean, like. Me and you, Tom, we met the Yogscast at Eurogamer.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't go there to meet them. We went there because like video games, but we saw they were there.
Yeah.
And they were, had a chat with them. They had a bunch of people around them, sort of surrounding them, but they kind of expected that because that was the situation they were in. They were at a convention. But at the same time, if you'd have found out where they were staying over that weekend, I wouldn't have first of all, what are you doing finding that information out? Second of all, don't go and bother them.
Yeah. Right. So I think we've talked about PewDiePie quite a bit. So
we've talked about a lot of stuff.
I'm just going to really quickly go through my other post, which was an interview with a guy called Tristan, who runs the TotallyTristan channel. Again, the link to that will be in the wherever, the underbar, the sidebar, wherever.
Some sort of bar.
He's another animator. We've interviewed. We've had a few animators on the website actually, but he's got about 10,000 subscribers. And the reason I approached him for an interview is because he does quite controversial cartoons. One of his cartoon series is called Special Ed, and obviously I don't have to go too much into it for you to work out what that's about, but I think it was interesting hearing about the person behind that video.
When I first heard you were going to interview him, I had a look at his channel, and that was one of the first videos I watched, and it surprised me a bit because a lot of the YouTube animators are quite dark.
Yeah, they are.
Like generally, and this one was pretty dark.
Yeah, I think that was why I wanted to talk to him, because I wanted to know what sort of person would make this sort of content.
I think that's the interesting thing behind doing the interviews, and I think that's why we need to do as many as possible. Because I mean, when you like another animator, Speedo Sausage, one of his hugest videos, sorry to bring it back to PewDie, is Please Die Pie, but it was interesting to find out that his motivation behind that wasn't because he didn't like him. It was more about that whole community of sort of YouTubers. It wasn't a direct attack.
He actually didn't mind him.
Yeah, he didn't really mind, but
there's the other YouTubers that thought that's a good idea. I'll
copy that.
I'll do other stuff instead of vlogging. It gets me more views. Yeah.
So it's quite interesting to hear behind the scenes, I suppose. That's why I really like the Donald and Duck one. Check that out as well.
Yeah. So if you want to hear about, if you want to read about any of the stuff that we've talked about, then we'll make sure to include all the links to the articles. So I think that pretty much wraps it up. Hopefully we'll be doing more in the future. I'm sure the ones we do in the future will be maybe a bit more smoother than
maybe a bit more ordered as well, rather than sort of rant.
Yeah,
this is going to take some editing. Good luck to whoever that is.
So from me it is goodbye from Dan.
Goodbye.
And Graham.
Goodbye. Yeah, that was the Chumcast.
See you later.
See ya.
Bye.